Hey everyone, and welcome! Today we are diving horns first into the powerful, vibrant, and honestly super surprising world of the brass band. It's a sound you've definitely heard, but its real story, well, it's probably not what you think at all.
No, seriously, take a second. When I say brass band, what's the first image that pops into your head? For a whole lot of people, it's a very, very specific scene.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet you've seen it in a movie or a TV show, right? Soot-covered miners in northern England, their faces tired, but they're finding this incredible sense of pride and community playing in their local colliery band. It's a really powerful image, and for decades, that's been the accepted origin story. Okay, so let's get into this, because new research has basically flipped that entire story on its head. It turns out the real roots of the British brass band aren't in a coal mine. They're actually on the battlefield. So check this out. On the left, you've got the story we all kind of know. Starts in the 1840s with industrial workers. But look at the right. The new evidence points to a much earlier start, way back in the 1810s. And it wasn't just in the north. It was happening all over Britain. And the real pioneers? They weren't miners. They were military veterans. And this isn't just some wild theory. This is solid research from Dr. Eamon O'Keefe at the University of Cambridge. His work draws a direct line from the Napoleonic Wars straight to these community bands. I mean, we're talking about a fundamental rewrite of British cultural history here. And, the proof is right here in the dates. Just look at this timeline. We're seeing military-style bands popping up as early as 1819. Then you've got the very first named civilian band in 1828. And just a year after that, a veteran of the Battle of Waterloo starts his own band. All of this is happening a solid 20 years before that industrial myth was supposed to begin. So here's what happened. The wars with Napoleon ramp up, and suddenly Britain has this huge number of highly trained military musicians. We're talking over 20,000 of them with nowhere to go. They were out of work. So what did they do? They took their musical chops, their discipline, and this cool new instrument tech, like the keyed bugle, and they brought it all back to their hometowns. They became the teachers, the leaders, the ones who planted the seeds for brass bands all across the country. But here's where the story takes a huge turn. While all of this is unfolding in Britain, a completely separate but equally amazing brass tradition was starting to bubble up on the other side of the Atlantic, in the one and only New Orleans. The sound of New Orleans is all about fusion. It's like this incredible musical gumbo. On one hand, you've got the structure and instrumentation of European military marching bands, and on the other, you pour in the rich rhythmic traditions of West Africa, traditions that were kept alive in places like Congo Square. So you get the horns and the marches, but they're infused with this infectious syncopation, call and response, and those soulful blue notes. And this amazing blend created a culture all its own, perfectly summed up by the second line. It's not a concert you just watch, it's a moving party you join. The band and the parade club are the main line, sure, but the real heart and soul is the second line. That's the crowd, the community, everybody who jumps in off the sidewalk to dance and celebrate. The music becomes this incredible, shared experience. And out of this amazing cultural mix, something was born that would change music forever. That collective improvisation, those infectious rhythms, the raw energy of the New Orleans brass band, it became one of the key ingredients in the birth of a whole new art form. Jazz. I mean, legends like Louis Armstrong got their start playing in these very bands. Now, you might think the story kind of peaks with the birth of jazz, but the tradition didn't stop there. In fact, by the 1960s, it almost did. Younger musicians were drawn to funk and soul. But instead of fading away, the New Orleans brass band did what it does best. It evolved. It reinvented itself. It all happened in stages. First came a revival, led by a guy named Danny Barker, who started a youth band to keep the tradition alive. Then came an all-out revolution with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. They took the groove from funk, the smarts of bebop, and turned the tuba and drums into this unstoppable rhythmic engine. And after them, bands like Rebirth and Soul Rebels pushed it even further, mixing in hip-hop and writing tunes that are now modern anthems. So we have these two incredible parallel histories unfolding. But the story of brass doesn't stop in Britain or New Orleans. The format, portable, loud, and super adaptable, has literally gone global, taking on a whole new life in cultures all over the planet. I mean, just look at the variety here. You've got Balkan brass, the super fast, high energy folk style from Serbia. Then there are these totally unique traditions that grew up in Polynesia, in places like Tonga. And get this, in Zanzibar, the Beni style actually started as a way to poke fun at colonial military bands, and now it's the go-to music for weddings. It just shows how this music can fit in anywhere. So when you step back and look at it, the brass band tells an incredible story of transformation. A sound born from military orders became the soul of industrial towns. It gave birth to jazz in New Orleans. It got a new life from funk and hip hop. And now it's the soundtrack for parties all over the world. It really makes you wonder, where on earth is this incredible sound going to march to next?